No, we are. Really? He just enjoyed. Aaron. Aaron. Yeah. No, we discussed that. He's always done it, even when he was in the hospital. Well, people should. But he never has. Given some confidence that I see it.
Okay, we are live, Madam President.
Good evening, everyone. The meeting of the board is now called to order at 7:03. Before I begin tonight's meeting, I'm required to make the following announcement. In the unlikely event the fire alarms go off, please exit the building quickly and quietly. Evacuate the building using the following exits. Will anyone need assistance in case of such an event? Once outside, please move away from the building and keep fire lanes and entrances clear. Do not re-enter the building until you are told to do so. Please turn off all electronic devices during the meeting, and please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a motion to approve the agenda? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? We will go into our recognition of our scheduled visitors, and first up we have our district comprehensive improvement plan and our presentation by Katie Burnwell.
Actually, you have it right in front of you, so instead of having to look in three places at once, I figured I'd just give you a copy of the whole plan. So what you have in front of you in this handout is what this summer our DCIP plan committee worked on. So I'm going to skip through some of this because there's a lot in here that if you want to read it on your own, you're welcome to, but I'll give you the highlights. So if we turn to the first page, the big question that our team had was, how do you become a school in need of improvement? Why do we have to do this? So that first chart you see right there, the CSI identifies that if you are missing pieces of the growth or pieces of a composite score, or if you're not making progress, your school can be labeled as a school in need of improvement. Which has two categories: comprehensive support and improvement, which usually means there's a lot of categories that you're deficient in, or targeted school improvement. And you will notice that in the second chart there, we are a school in need of improvement based on our multiracial students. They were not showing any growth on the 3-day assessment, which is where the numbers come from. So multiracial students in our district, we have 68 multiracial students K-12. When we look at 3 through 8, we have 6 in grades 3, 4, and 5, and 3 in grades 6, 7, and 8, making a total of 27 students for which this plan really is the focus in the group that we're honing in on. So it's a small group, which is nice because it's easy for us to know their names, figure out what they need, and assess and evaluate from there. The other part of the plan is that it allows us to really take a look holistically at what we're doing and say, wow, there's some things we could really improve on that just won't make a difference for these 27 kids, but will make a difference for all 2,000 of them. So as we move through the plan, you'll see the plan focuses on everyone as we're working through it, and because in a little bit we're kind of triaging right now because COVID has presented us with a variety of things we did not expect. So at least we have 27 kids we can absolutely 100% focus on as we work through the chaos that is COVID. So if we turn the page, you'll see that this summer, our team spent a lot of time online working together. We met a few times where we evaluated the data. So we had this huge data file which included all of their state testing from grades 3 through 8, their attendance, it included their socioeconomic status, it included their living situation, and any other data we could garner from state ed and from our systems in order to give us a full picture of who these kids were and what they might need. From there, we took a look at it as a committee, and then we met with the ELA team, and we met with the math team who was involved in the project, and Melissa Angela Stockman, who is our consultant for this, and I reviewed the data, reviewed our online discussions, and we came up with the following plan. So under the what we'll do next, you'll see that this fall, before fall, we met and we planned and we identified the steps that you'll see in the plan. And then mid-fall, our goal is to examine, collect data, and review. The good news is our students have to take the STAR test. So we have something to review, and we have points of data from before COVID of which we can look at, because our kids actually did STAR in February. So it was probably one of the last things they did before they walked out the door. And our kids are taking the STAR now in September, October. I don't even know what month it is anymore. And they're taking the STAR, they just mostly finished it. And our students who are 100% online, we found a way that we can have them take the test one-on-one with the teacher from home. So the teacher's able to display it on their screen, and we're still able to get that data. And we're really working on getting it for all 27 of those kids. We have, for our kids who are on home instruct, who are at home, we're about 1/3 of the way done at the middle school. So by mid to late January, our hope is to have another cycle of data to review. This I'm putting a pin in. This may be moved back. Right now, I'm sure you're hearing it. I'm sure we're all hearing it. It's kind of like a Jenga puzzle at school. And the more things we pull out and put on top, the more it teeters. And I don't want to give people more than they can handle right now. So we're trying to find baby steps and ways that we can do this work. And it's meaningful work. But to give it the time and the effort that it needs means we need to rearrange some of this plan. And I'll talk about how we're doing it. And then you'll see as it goes, we're going to keep having these cycles of review where we examine the data and move forward. So our summary of priorities. We have 5 priorities, and originally our order was to start with 1 and end with 5. Because of COVID, we've actually started with 5 and are going to work our way sort of backwards and then around. So we'll start with the one we're doing first, which is to build capacity, assess, monitor, and improve social emotional health of faculty and students. We are fortunate that we are able to do a lot of work with the Panorama survey. And we moved that Panorama survey to not just be a middle school survey of social emotional wellness, but it's something we are able to now do district-wide. And it gives us a pulse on how kids are and how they're feeling, and will allow teachers, will allow guidance counselors, will allow administrators and school counselors and everybody else to take a look at that data and say, oh, wow, we've got some emotional needs here that we need to get to. To give you an example of how this survey works, and I think Eric's going to talk more about it in February, I believe. To give you an example of some of the most important data that we received is during COVID, we were able to give the survey. And one of the questions asked is, do you feel loved? And they meant now, like in COVID. And of the students who took it in our school, and about 3/4 of them took it during COVID, we had 7 students say no. And so it's emotional for me because I think, well, we don't know who those kids are. But when we take a look at where we need to spend our time, right now, that's what they need. So that's kind of why we've adjusted that focus. And if you were to check with our staff, I think that's what we need. So we need to meet that emotional need first before we can even think about doing anything academically, because we're rebuilding, and I think that's what we need. So our first step will be step 5. From there, we will look at building data-informed decision-making, so establishing data teams, taking a look at the data we're able to collect. And a lot of that is up in the air right now, because with some students at home, some students on Tuesday, Wednesday, some students on Thursday, Friday, and then the variety of illnesses that happen, it's really hard to get a pulse on data that makes sense and is meaningful. We're really struggling to get work return. So this will be something that as we go, we're going to have to pick something that's going to be This is the key point, which goes into the standard-based thing. This is the key standard. We need to have our thumb on today. Here's how we're going to look at it. Here's how we're going to assess it. We're not there yet. My goal is by January, we're having these conversations. We're picking the pieces we want to really assess. And then step 3 of our priorities is to create and clean data and evidence from standard-based assessment. So the data we have in New York State is really 2 years old. We didn't give state assessments this last year. So we're working on data from, if you think about it, a kid who was in the 3rd grade, the data we have now, that kid's in 5th grade. We know a lot happens in 2 years. So I don't know that that data is really valid for us to look at as a comparative piece. So we're looking at what we can create in-house and what we can rely on pre-created programs and previous assessments and sort of things that we can get that data for. And then step 4 is learn about, implement, and continually refine culturally responsive practice. This has been a focus everywhere. We see it on TV. We read about it. We participated in a book study. I participated in a book study on how to be anti-racist. And I participated in some lecture series on race and the impact of cultural race theory in education. And there's a lot that needs to be done and a lot that needs to be studied. And when we take a look at the fact that what we're looking at in our population is our multi-race students, one of the questions we have to ask ourselves is race a reason for this, or are there other things? What our data shows us is poverty is a big piece of it. And poverty affects all of us. It doesn't just affect one group. And so that will be some of the work that is done within that culturally responsive practices, is also looking at the impact of poverty in addition to race. So in here, I give you our priorities and I kind of explain them, and I explained them to you already, so I'm not going to go through them again, but I'm going to stop and point out that we sort of plan for what COVID would do to us. So if we take a look at priority 1 and you flip 2 pages back, you'll see capacity building for data-informed decision-making, COVID adjust. And we were able to pre-think about how COVID was going to impact us. And as I went through and read this and prepared for the day today, we had a lot of really great things we thought would happen, but we did not realize how much that Jenga puzzle would impact us. So our dates are more fluid than we would expect. So when you take a look at the whens, know that we're about 2 months behind because life. But it has in there the strategies that we will use, and they are things that we can do without being face-to-face. So we've provided opportunities, and we're working on, Melissa and I are going to meet in the next few weeks to talk about what data stuff we need. Right now, we're working through our STAR data in order to create some sort of benchmarks to move forward with STAR. And that's what you'll see as you go through this for all of our priorities. So that's the plan in a nutshell. I walked you through the highlights. There's more stuff clearly in here for you. I'm here to answer questions if you would like.
Can you tell us a little bit about, you said you guys had a committee. Tell us a little bit about the makeup of that committee.
Sure. So we had, now I got to think about some. We had teachers from grades 3, 4, and 5, mostly 4 and 5. We included 6th grade because that's where both of our team leaders are, 6th grade math and ELA. We also included 7th grade math, and we included our RTI specialist and our reading specialist. So they were able to chunk the data and look at it however worked best for them. And also in that committee was Melissa, myself, and Angela Stockton. So it was nice to have an outside view of the data. And also all of the administrators or all of the building principals were able to look at the data, participate in the conversation as well.
I just want to say that this is absolutely the most comprehensive thing I've seen in a long time.
Thank you.
And I actually understand what you're saying. So thank you for this. This is really amazing. I'm looking forward to hearing how it plays out.
Me too.
Yes, and I want to also just thank whoever, obviously, that number 5 became number 1. Because without number 1, there is no anything else. So kudos to that. And I'm also interested to hear about number 4, where that's going to be. So if you can move on that, it's great. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Super important.
If you'd like, I can include you in our meetings so that you can
You
participate.
can send some.
Sure.
I love
Okay, I will do that. All right, thank you.
One other thing,
Yes.
especially if you get the challenge done during these time periods, not just the traditional academic year, but having to be able to adapt on any front.
In
Very critical.
our team hasn't really had time to meet since school started. I've not met with my RTI specialists. We work really closely together. So I've met with them a few times and we talked about this and they've really pulled that data from those 27 kids. And one of the things that's not in here that I forgot to talk about is we were able to, with the grant money, we were able to hire a teaching assistant whose goal is to work specifically with these kids who need the extra help, but also is becoming an absolute asset in teaching organization to middle schoolers. Because one of the things that we've discovered with this pandemic is as middle schoolers, if you ever worked with one, organization is not their strong suit. And I think COVID took them back about 3 years in their ability to organize. So she has been an absolute asset in sitting down with the kids and saying, let's look at your binder. And it's exploding. And they have paper copies of everything and they have triple paper copies of everything. And she came down to see me tonight, a kid who I stayed with the other day, and she's like, he has 4 copies of this. He's done it 3 times. He's never turned any of them in. And so her role has become really a sense of let's organize this because everybody's just feeling pretty overwhelmed with the amount of difference. So she's been an absolute asset for us.
It's interesting that you say that because I've had a couple of parents say to me about how the kids who are at home are having such a difficult time. It's almost like the organization idea is different because they're having trouble like, well, what am I doing next? Who am I talking to next? What class am I at? It's an organizational skill that is different from what you would normally have if you were just going to school every day. So somebody has to work with them, and explain to them, use your phone, put 9 o'clock, you gotta go in somehow, some new things that, so I'm so glad you're doing that, because that's really, I've seen even in high school, I've had a teacher talk to me about that. Yeah.
It's a large sense of overwhelm, and it's funny, I get phone calls from parents, and I sit down with them, and I've had a few that I've worked through their own organization, because they're like, why do I get 400 Gmails every time my kid has a new class sign up, and trying to create separate emails, and Mike Drezick was hunting down one today for me to help out, so it's a family effort with all of us in order to help these kids through.
Katie, I don't know if you want to talk about it a little bit. Eric and I are meeting with Panorama people this week to talk about the adult level stuff, and I believe that's supposed to tie in with.
It does. If you take a look closely at step 5, it does include understanding the culture of a building from the adult perspective and the student perspective. And so we have asked Panorama what they got. So Panorama, it appears, does have some surveys that they do for adults, which will give us a better sense of the pulse of what happens in our building. We see a lot of it through eyes, and it'll be nice to have words to go with facial expressions, since you can only see half of them anyways. So.
Katie, I have a question about you mentioned the grant money. Is that grant money that was received specifically for this program?
Yes. The school improvement grant came with, I don't remember what it was, but it did come with a chunk of change that allowed us to hire Dawn, who's our teaching assistant, and also will help fund some of the professional development work that the teachers do.
Now, my last question, Katie, was what is the, for lack of trying to explain myself, the lead time or lag time of seeing where a student isn't handing in things? Is this a weekly thing? Like, how fast are we on it to say, so-and-so is now not for 4 days, or can you give me is it a day range, is it a week range?
Oh dear, I couldn't tell you. I know with some of our remote kids, because it's a week between turning stuff in, you'll notice they're behind and then you make the phone call and it's a process of getting that work in. With the students who are here, the teachers are working incredibly hard to make sure that they understand the work and that they're able to follow through on their day off. Even if I follow through on their day off, I have one I've got to call tomorrow, so I think I'm going to have to stay after school with me for a few hours to get some more work done. So they're doing what they can. It's
Yeah.
different for each kid though.
No, it is, and that's so, yeah, so I understandably so that by the time they may catch it, because we're all human and there's only so many hours in the day, is there a back plan when somebody is 2 to 3 weeks behind? If you have a responsive parent that's remote, is there a plan in action to say, all right, this is what we do now, we go backwards, and this is the plan we have to get them at least caught up? And I understand if the parent is not involved, this is really difficult.
I think we're getting there. I don't think that I can articulate that there's an actual plan of action, but you saying that is a great thing for me to go back and talk to our team leaders and say, hey, when a kid falls behind, what are we saying is our priority and how do we get them caught up? Like, are we saying, okay, we gave you assignments 1 through 10, really only focus on 5 through 10.
Right.
And picking the ones that are the most important in order to nail that skill. And that's why one of the things that Melissa had us do when the students came back in the summer was to identify the priority standards that they would want to focus on. And each team sat down and met and identified those priority standards so that as they're working through the year, those are the ones that are most important and those are the ones that their work that the students are doing hopefully are focusing specifically on those standards.
Does any of this get pushed into the high school?
Eventually. Right now, our focus was on the ones where they can really catch it. When we take a look, we have 9 students in the 9th grade who are considered multiracial. And so there's a growing number when you only look at, we have 67 or 68 and 27 of them are in grades 3 through 8. There are a significant number that are being left out. Our focus with the grant is to focus on that small sample size so that hopefully we can find things that work and move that forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you, Katie.
All right, next up, we have our school board recognition, which is this week. I think Charlie is there.
I do, yes. I have a proclamation here to read from the governor. Whereas each year, School Board Recognition Week is observed by more than 700 school boards and school districts throughout the entire state. And whereas our state's public education system is designed to meet the educational needs of all children and to empower them to become competent, productive contributors to society and an ever-changing world. And whereas school boards are currently facing the unprecedented challenges of the pandemic while working closely with educators to prepare our children to learn. And whereas members of local school boards are dedicated to children, learning, and community, and devote many hours of service to elementary and secondary public education as they continually strive for improvement, excellence, and progress in education, recognizing that all children can be successful learners, especially when education is tailored to the individual needs of the child. Whereas local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district by working closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members. And whereas the members of New York State local school boards respond to the educational needs of the communities they serve and help ensure the solid foundation of our school system. In doing so, these leaders help strengthen our state's educational system and improve future prospects for our children. And that's the last whereas. Whereas during October 19th through the 23rd, 2020, special activities and programs will be held in communities across New York State in observance of School Board Recognition Week, and it is fitting to join in acknowledging the commitment and contributions of members of local school boards. Now therefore, I, Andrew Como, I'm not Andrew Como. He has a lot more hair than me. Governor of New York, do proclaim October 19th to the 23rd, 2020 as School Board Recognition Week. I, on behalf of the district, would like to take this opportunity to thank our board members for their years of service to Lake Shore. Tonight we recognize Jennifer Michaelek, who's been on the board for 15 years and has served 9 years as our president. Carla Thompson, 13 years of service. Christopher Binder, 2 years of service and counting. Kathleen Shavetta, 6 years. William Connors Jr., 8 years. Michael Frame, 4 years. And past president, Cindy Lattimore, 15 years of total service. And Madeline Lockwood for serving as a student representative to the Board of Education during the 2021 school year. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your tireless work. You guys are the hardest working people that I know that don't get paid for doing what you do. And it's been a real pleasure having the opportunity to work with all of you. Always focusing on what's best for children. So I want to thank you very much on behalf of the Lake Shore Central School District. We would give our board members certificates. We would take individual pictures, but with COVID, we're not going to do that. But we're going to take a sort of a group picture of the people that are sitting over here. And our board members on the end will understand that the more position you take pictures so we can have that.
I was just about to say, no one's going to be sad, there won't be a picture. But I guess there's still going to be.
There's still going to be a picture. So we also have a nice little tree care plan. For some of you that are on diet, I'm sorry, but very true. So, yeah, you know, sure. Okay, Kathleen, you want to tell them what it does? Sure. Let's just stand. Let's just stand. Not where it goes.
Where do you want me to go?
Is Cindy good? Cindy, you want to stand over here? Or
Then you move in or
Cindy?
stand.
Okay.
Move that way about 1 foot. Move that. And forward. A little bit more.
Want to have Manny
I will
over?
give you $5.
Oh, sweet. Here. Well, actually, I don't need to. You can have 50.
Everybody has now.
But I know you're smiling, but it's wrinkle in your eye. Right? Okay, we ready? 1, 2, 3. Do one more, please.
Next, we have our Erie County School Board recognition. We have our Shining Star Award and our Medallion Star Award, which honors school board members for outstanding participation in ECASD programs, teams, and committees. Shining Star Award winners have actively served for at least 1 year on either the Erie County School Board Delegate Assembly, Legislative Team, Budget Finance Program Team, and have attended at least 3 ECASD programs during the 1920 school year. Medallion Star Award winners have actively served for at least 1 year on either the ECASD Delegate Assembly, Legislative Team, Budget Finance Program Team, or the Executive Board, or served as an alternate for one of the teams attended the ECASD Western New York SEC Annual Law Conference and have attended at least 4 ECASD programs during the 2019-20 school year. The Erie County Association of School Board held its 42nd annual ECASD dinner meeting on October 1st, 2020, which was originally scheduled for June 11th. At that time, Kathleen Shavetta was presented with the Shining Star Award. Carla Thompson and Mike Freeney were presented with the Medallion Star Award. Please join me in congratulating Kathleen, Carla, and Mike for for being the recipient of the 2019-20 Erie County School Board Shining Star Award. Oops, I'm sorry, Kathleen is the Shining Star. Mike and Carla for being the recipients of the Medallion Star Award. Sure. Mike and Carla get a clap. Kathleen, hold a little clap. Congratulations. Congratulations. All right, at this time, I have a motion to approve the items contained in the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to approve the appointment of Stacy Purpura as the Title VI Coordinator for the 2020-21 school year at a stipend of $4,600. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the attached memorandum of agreement with the Teamsters Local 264 and authorize and direct the superintendent of schools to execute. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the refunding bond resolution authorizing the issuance of $2,225,000 in refunding bonds of the district for the purpose of refunding the district's 2012 serial bonds. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the mentor teaching internship program for the 2020-21 school year? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the resolution regarding the 2021 lease for the Boys and Girls Club of Eden on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club of Lake Shore? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the resolution regarding the 2021 lease for the YMCA Buffalo Niagara on behalf of the YMCA wraparound program? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the appointment of the following individuals as Title VI Native American Program tutors for the 2021 school year at a rate of $27.05 an hour. Michael Cromer and Tracy Cromer. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the list of middle school advisors for the 2021 school year at a rate of pay pursuant to the district LSCTA agreement? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the coaching appointment for the 2021 fall sports season? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to approve the revised list of available mentors for the 2021 school year. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to approve the 6-month probationary appointment of the Acadia Dix as an occupational therapist for the district effective November 4th, 2020. Ms. Dix shall receive salary for the 2021 school year as per the negotiated collective bargaining agreement with LSCTA at masters +0 step 3. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Jennifer Engler Henry from her monitor position effective September 25th, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Lindsay Anderson from her personal care aide position effective October 2nd, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to approve the recall from layoff status of Carissa Littlejohn to a personal care aide position at step 3, $17.52 an an hour of the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective October 5th, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the 6-month probationary appointment of Rachel Long as a laborer for the district at step 1, $18.19 an hour of the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective October 1st, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the 6-month probationary appointment of Daniel Burns Jr. as a bus driver for the district at step 1, $21.29 an hour of the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective September 15th, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the 6-month probationary appointment of Tina Buckley as a bus driver for the district at step 1, $21.29 an hour of the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective September 15th, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the 6-month probationary appointment of Kenneth Hans as a bus driver for the district at step 1, $21.29 an hour of the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective September 15th, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the 6-month probationary appointment of Carrie Preston as a bus driver for the district at step 1, $21.29 an hour of the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective September 15th, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the 6-month probationary appointment of Justin Duplantis as a bus driver for the district at step 1, $21.29 an hour of the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective September 15th, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the 6-month probationary appointment of Maria Schmelzinger as a bus attendant for the district at step 2, $15.83 an hour as per the negotiated collective bargaining agreement with the Teamsters Local 264 effective September 15th, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Maria Schmelzinger from her monitor position effective September 14th, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I have a motion to approve the 6-month probationary appointment of Yvonne Kukowski as a bus attendant for the district at step 1, $15.30 an hour of the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective September 15th, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the appointment of Yvonne Rukowski as the cafeteria monitor for the district during the 2021 school year pursuant to the terms of the September 28, 2020 memorandum of agreement between the district and the Teamsters Local 264 at step 1, $15.30 an hour of the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective September 29, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the appointment of Christine Willard as a cafeteria monitor for the district during the 2021 school year pursuant to the terms of the September 28, 2020 agreement, memorandum of agreement between the district and the Teamsters Local 264 at step 9, $21.75 an hour of the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective October 6, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? May I have a motion to approve the appointment of Amy Guest as a cafeteria monitor for the district during the 2021 school year pursuant to the terms of the September 28, 2020 memorandum of agreement between the district and the Teamsters Local 264 at step 9, $21.75 an hour at the Teamsters Local 264 contract effective October 8, 2020. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? On to for discussion items, agenda items for the November 3rd work session. We have our 6:30 building tour at JT Watt Elementary, principal discussion with Mrs. Eastman, and Mrs. Bergler will be doing our school report card. Anyone have anything else at this time? Anything else, Christina?
On that subject, would it be a good time to actually talk about, one-on-one devices, our setup program, anything that actually that building? I just don't have a good sense of how we're doing with remote learning.
So technology update and remote learning.
I think a general update to, private report time
Right.
around, a second.
Okay.
On that, my ears are full of it. So Paula will talk about our Native American connection, we have some partnerships going on, we can talk about that for sure. We're gonna talk about the elementary report card, what we're doing with that. You think I can.
Yeah, there was mentioning private reports, are now, so I kind of roll that in as a general update to how our students are doing with remote learning.
Okay, because the elementary, they're actually first time not really up to date.
Oh,
They're being-
true. I'm on computer for that. Well, I just thought if we were gonna do a general update, but if it doesn't fit in.
No, we can, I just was making sure like it's on secondary level, I think we can get a little bit of an update in the range, so that's one. So I just
Yeah,
wanna make sure.
Really just like sticking a foot in the water to keep it constant is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Paula's building has
Just haven't heard any.
Paula's building has stayed down the remote learning. So she's in a lot.
Great. When is the trimester? November
November 3rd.
13th. That's also the first opportunity if they were more only wanted to be together.
Yeah, so they're supposed to let us know by November 3rd. Elementary.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It says Paula, but we will.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Erie to BOCES annual meeting. Do we need to pick a date? For, I think the date for August, April 20th is the date we did the vote. That's the date we want for. Okay. Yeah, that's the date that we need it for. That would be for April 14th or 15th, or we could do-
Well,
The other
second-
day,
second.
My social calendar will probably be pretty full in April, so. How can I choose?
I'm just looking to see what day. of the week is that.
On the 14th or the Wednesday. So I would say generally, speaking, I mean, I have, who knows, if we're all going to be here in April, but I mean, Thursdays, sometimes there's ECAS stuff.
There is a delegate assembly meeting on the 15th.
I think the Wednesday will be better. I mean, it's really.
What exactly do we have to do with it?
I think that's just if anyone of us wants to attend.
Okay.
This is just to, based on everybody's response from all of it.
Well, I would say Wednesday because you may have a number of people that can't attend if you're not at meeting on Thursday.
Right now.
Right, is that it, Christine? Okay, on to our student representative report. We do have Marilyn here with us tonight. Welcome.
Yesterday, some students met with the, Julie, and she got a around the Zoom, students are doing academically. A lot of underclassmen, yeah, they were doing really well with the 2 days a week only in school. But, a lot of seniors are There's a lot of work for this up. And we didn't know if it was because we're also doing college admissions and essays and all that kind of thing. But a lot of them said that we are struggling with the time outside of school. I also figured out the fact that we're working AP and upper levels. So physically not being in the classroom 5 days a week is a lot harder to learn over live streams. It's definitely a lot harder than the room. But student government wise, we have new advisors to deal with this, so we know. I think they're getting their footing, they're getting their footing better. I think we're finally going to pick up. We have our first meeting tomorrow, and leadership and the lower the grade level have started doing something, and we have just finished our fundraisers with the community of opportunity tomorrow.
Great. Thank you very much.
See a lot of you 45 minutes. What else is going on?
Thank you for volunteering to do this.
Yeah, thank you. I have to work out the social also piece to keep that. Right,
Hopefully, in the next few months, you guys will have more going on.
yeah, I admit there's definitely.
Well, but I think it's really important, I think our student representative is always important, but this year is such a unique year and it's so challenging. You and your classmates are facing so many challenges, and I think it's really important for us to get a first-hand account of those. So thank you very much for bringing that.
Madeline, hopefully we don't have to, but if we had to go do virtual meetings, is it something where you have the technology available that as long as you got an invite, you can log in?
Yeah, I don't know if you're at, or if it's good, no.
No, I'm saying if you could, even if it was a Zoom, if they have to go back to a Zoom school board meeting,
Yeah, I
because that way we can hear your thoughts, even if you were there.
Great. Thank you, Madeline. Board of Education.
Technology,
Yeah.
big announcement. If you want to get a big announcement. Got a catch. But what's the actual date? So we reapplied for our technology bond act, and essentially we were approved for 1-to-1 for all students. How many extra devices was that? 906, which is fantastic news. Other than it would be 2020, what's the date? March 2021. So they're a little behind on the progress.
5 million dashboards well.
But there is some light at the end of the tunnel, and in fact, God forbid we are looking at that far out, that we've been approved for the extra equipment. And I never would have thought this. COVID, no COVID, 5 years ago, that we'd be qualifying for 21. That's it.
That's great.
We hopeful estimated delivery is March. Wow. Yeah,
Estimated to be in stock.
gotcha.
And we,
5 million. Right. One lot, that's not all from that per lot. Like 5. Yeah.
and then we try to build some into another thing as well. So that we have.
Great. Any questions?
From the meeting, there was some more encouraging news. We are doing very well with devices at home. I think with requests, what's come in, what's gone out, we still have 2 or 3 devices open for any parent that wants to claim them. So, our fear 3 months ago, or 4 months ago, would be hundreds or 50 or 80 devices behind. We're kind of keeping up with requests. So there's 3 or 4 units still in stock. Jeff's biggest, communication level is it's not for students, it's for household. So he's still getting a lot of calls on why I forget that the devices,
we're in good shape. I mean, it's going as good as it could for plan.
And I was gonna talk about this in my superintendent report, that's why I'm talking about it now, because, out of the 1,456 submitted surveys, we just handed out 330 diplomas to families. It is one per family. I talked to them out today, and I talked to her about that, and she was grateful that they got the one. So we're keeping a close eye on it, trying not to overlap schedules with kids when they're home, that type of thing. We also just received a grant from the T-Mobile project. They're giving away 10 million hotspots across the country. So we are receiving 277 T-Mobile hotspots by the end of November. We had 167 families that responded in needing to have Wi-Fi connection in their homes. So basically what this is give a person 100 gigs of data to be able to use for 10 months, basically for the school year. So it also follows the child. So if you're a sophomore, you'll have it next year. So which is really pretty neat. So obviously we have some spots in our district where Wi-Fi is not present. And then we should have other areas along the waterfront there. So now you guys are tech people. So 100 gigs sounds like a lot. And we have to remind kids that these hotspots, they should really just use these hotspots for school with the school app. Because if you start streaming Netflix movies and those kinds of things, you're going to eat it up pretty fast.
As a mother of three,
Yeah.
I can tell you.
So we're pretty, well, we eat it up pretty fast.
So good. On that front, too, right?
Yeah.
That's what they said. So you can go to a senior and get it.
If you take it out,
Listen, was there anything, I kind of had to step away for a really quick call. Is there any way to filter what they're doing with, Jeff? Someone asked a question is if, on the hotspots, that you really, can you open up Netflix, or is it filtered to, it has to be a certain, that was actually on the nightly news a couple of days ago with these giveaways,
Yeah.
how we're gonna filter it.
I don't know.
we can ask Jeff about filtering the hotspot.
I think we're
If we filter the
like,
hotspot, we can certainly filter the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we had to, because we did have that problem in the spring. We everything up on other things. And, so maybe that would be great if they have that built in.
I'll ask Jeff that question. I'll get back to you.
Now, Jeff also tracked the gigabyte on those in order to,
You might get a report, but I think that's all.
Yeah, it's almost like he can break them, like he can shut it off.
right,
Like he did when he was keeping the items back. So maybe it could be a warning sign that they.
well, that's what I'm saying, we're breaking cool.
Right. So I'll talk to him.
Yeah, we don't know if we know a whole lot yet, right? We don't
Yeah.
really know what the whole play is about.
Does the family have the ability to see how much data they're using?
I would imagine there's some kind of a tracker.
So we know how they're actually using it up.
Yeah.
Kelly, can you repeat for me how many hotspots and how many families?
Well, we're receiving 277 of them, and right now we have requests from 167 families. Just because there are more people that do that, so, and it is a nice thing that it is 3 years for the child, so it will go with them. If they go, to go with college. We saw it, we sent it to Jeff, he hopped right on it, and he must have worked on it. Another good thing that we're able to try.
Finance academy, I know like half of you were there, but the other half. I think we have come to the conclusion we cannot hold a 3-on-3 basketball tournament in March. This presents some challenges, since as you know, that's kind of our one and only fundraiser, so just having some conversation on what some of our other options are. I don't know, if you want to say something else?
So I came on the advisory board there a little over a year ago, and it was something I was, this conversation started too much when I came on. Rebranding, looking, to expand opportunities for students in Newark. Basically a measure of what classes or curriculum is being required, what ones we can offer to not. It's something we're just getting started on. I don't think it will be anything that's going to affect the current school year, but I think the plan will be good.
Depending on the timetable, I think, as Dan suggested, we decided to do a little work internally as advisory board first before we build out, put together a design. So more to come on that.
Anyone else? ECSD?
Legislative team, we need, still discussing holding a legislative breakfast, in November. Kind of, about how to do that. But as of right now, it's still being planned. What we're looking at this year is we'll have theoretically 4 new elected representatives. So maybe limiting it to just the 4 new, and then doing something different to connect with, reps that we already kind of have a relationship with. So knowing where to come on that, I think the date right now is Saturday, November 14th. We talked about federal stimulus. I don't know if you know this, there's still nothing. And we just talked about, the urgency. And of course, politics is political, but we're really playing some severe political games right now, and not just with education, small businesses, families who are struggling right now. But, this has there are some very dire alarm bells ringing for the school community and constitutionally required here because everyone knows what boat we're in. But it's really unfortunate the way that our elected officials in Washington, D.C. are just utterly failing us, if I be blunt, and potentially leading to opinion. So, I guess at this point, I don't know. I know there's still talks, right? There's still a chance something might happen before election day, but we've been saying that for months. So I guess it's really a wait and see game, and we just continue to knock on doors and write letters and make phone calls, just reminding everyone that we're still here. Thank you.
Board member roundtable?
We'll talk just a little bit about we haven't had a meeting since I did the SCD roundtable. Actually, I'm all lumped together right now.
No,
I don't think so. So it was about, the digital divide. And I don't know if it's comforting to you to know that many other districts across New York State are having the same issues that we're having, right? And it really boils down to a couple of things, but a real lack of high-speed internet infrastructure all across our state. I think I've been advocating for school boards for 4 years maybe, and in every single one of those years, we've spoken to our elected officials, especially at the federal level, on how the lack of internet infrastructure in our rural areas has really potentially devastating consequences. And now here we are seeing that come to fruition or not, depending on how we want to put it. So lack of infrastructure and lack of devices, because we're not the only district that's not one-to-one. Many districts aren't one-to-one, and we're all facing the same issue where we needed to secure funding, and then we needed to get in a really long line. So this is a problem statewide, but I hope this will help our elected officials to see that IT internet is a utility for all intents and purposes. It's something families need to succeed, and we have many families that don't have access to it. It's non-existent on our reservation, where we have a high percentage of students who are staying home, right? Our Native American students are staying home in higher percentages than our non-Native American students. And they're going to homes, many of them that completely lack
option, if that, until very recently. And I think it's fair to say that, I don't just mean here in Lake Shore, I mean across the state and across the country, the quality or the content of the education our students are receiving right now is dependent on their zip code and their socioeconomic background. How you can set that really perfectly. And that is not equity in education. And I think we should all be serious about how our students are being dealt with. I am.
Well, and then just to expand upon that, even the children that have, or families that have internet at home, you have 1 or 2 or 3 kids who are all trying to work, and I see it in my own, that they're struggling.
But families, right? We have some parents that are working from home right now.
And when they're all sitting there watching spin.
It's like a catch-22, because we were supposed to be following ESSA, it's just forcing us to give, equity and education at all levels. And we can't, we tell them we can't, but it's a mandate that we do, and then we get penalized because we're not following, or we're not at the level we're supposed to be. It's a catch-22, and it's exactly right. And it's so frustrating.
We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, right? We just kind of spoke to the importance of having current data to look at our students. I don't want to forecast too much, and I'm not in the classroom, so I can't speak to this, but the thought of giving data assessments or standardized assessments or research exams or things like that, how are we going to prepare students so that when we get them in front of us 2 days a week, and that's if everything goes smoothly over the winter, and we don't have to go full remote. And so federal education department saying they don't even bother to apply for waivers this year, we will not be granting them. I don't know how you do that. Now, granted, I understand you put that out there in September. You want to keep people pushing, but as you just said, look at the number of students who are coming to school that don't feel loved, that are feeling unsafe. The 5 days a week that they're not with us, or parents are just struggling to make things work right now in the situation that we're in. So I will use the rest of my time. I mean, I can go on and on, but I just feel very strong that we are not being served well by our elected officials right now, and I'm really looking forward to voting.
Saturday, early voting.
Yeah, I'll actually.
Anyone else have anything?
No, I agree 1,000%. I mean, we can't even get BIOS in our neighborhood, let alone like any solid internet service. Like you're saying, everybody's fighting for that small pipe of internet. Or we can do that. So I agree. It's a countrywide problem. It's been for decades, and Europe has it together, and it's cheap, and it's everywhere. And the whole city has Wi-Fi, and those that are work, and it's so high. It's very high. So, 3,000.
I just feel like I'm talking to the injury, if I do that, is there any plan or
We're looking to
Well,
What's the answer?
We want kids to be back as soon as possible, and to be able to end more games. We're in a situation where, when you look at the way we're providing education for kids, that Monday is so important for us to still be able to make connections with the kids that are remote, and also to make connections with kids that are hybrid, and to get the paper packets and things together so that we can send those home for the families to be able to use at home too, in addition to what we're trying to do technology. Paper sort of a big here, and make sure, because of the issues that we do have, we're not having enough computers out there. And as soon as, we get information from the Department of Health, or if we say that, more so the Department of Health, we can start increasing the number of kids in class and those types of things. So we'll be on that very quickly to be able to get kids into the buildings more. But right now, we're kind of entering a phase, all across the country where there are states that COVID is rising in different areas. And I think we've done a very good job here because we follow the rules. And the kids, by the way, have been great, very fast, really fast. So hopefully we'll go over, we can keep our numbers down in the area. We'll be a also one of the reasons why when you talk about not having after-school clubs or some of the things we might do with music or those kinds of things, we're really trying to limit the number of students in the building after school that don't need to be in the building. To keep that spread out, trying not to mingle kids that are too big. But it is something that we're looking at. You know, as soon as we think we can start doing it safely, we're gonna start moving forward. But right now, I think we need to, as something like those, say, a slow roll, taking a look at the data and making sure that we're not taking a step forward and then maybe taking 2 or 3 steps back. Because that is something that happens, we don't want to have to start closing things. So it's not that we're not thinking about it, we are thinking about it. It's great having kids in the building, you know, Thursday, Tuesday through Friday, but I wish it was better. I wish we did have everybody here.
What are the things you guys talk about? Like, when you think about more days, you guys can do the talk. Yeah, so like, I think it was on our table, and maybe Monday, so we every other, so we, what?
So we did zero that, and that we did next Tuesday, or I don't know when we was supposed to do that, that did it. Hold it, because I'm here now, and then like, it kind of stopped, so we didn't know if we were coming back, but, I got the question, because we were concerned about a lot of work during the time of the supposed to be school.
They're not supposed to be working.
I know, I know that. But, it's, there to, go back, would it be more of a, would it be like, okay, like on a Friday, the Department of Health says, okay, it's safe for us to go back more, would that be like that Monday, we start, because, I don't know.
I think we would probably need a little bit.
I was gonna say, just there's a switch.
Yeah, I think you can be confident that the plans are, you know, I have, our administration probably has plan A, B, C, D, E, F, for, you know, all of these, and it really does just depend. But yes, it's not like we're gonna send out a blackboard tonight, I would assume, and say, you're all coming to school tomorrow. We understand that, you know, there are challenges with that.
Because it's not just in the classroom, it's also on the bus. So we have to people, what are the bus protocols, we have to be, they would have to change. And if we could change that, explain to people why they're changing, how we're doing it safely. So that we be prepared. You know, so.
Until that 6-foot mandate changes, I don't think any.
Yeah, legislatively, we're really caught here, even if we're doing a great job, they don't change at all.
No, right, exactly, and I think, if we said we have high confidence of any time now. But, you know, I just have to say really quick, thank you so much for speaking up and bringing that question forward, because, you know, this is really a great opportunity. It's not just for you to bring, you know, what's happening in the school to us. This is the opportunity for you to bring what's happening here back to your fellow students, and you are the student representative, so you're the voice of the students on the board, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Your role is so, man, it's such a great year to be on, because your role is so critical here. So thank you for asking that question, and I think if I could speak for everybody, we really encourage you to continue to do that throughout the meeting.
Yeah. But just make an easier question.
I really think I was gonna say, so.
All right, calendar items. Does anybody see anything they would like to add? Not a whole lot going on here, folks. Superintendent's report?
Okay, so a lot of the things I was going to talk about, we kind of talked about already, but give you a little bit of a weekend review. This week at the high school, it's Spirit Week, and I know that the seniors are busy painting rocks, building connections. So you might see those up the hallway when you're walking around. Wednesday is class shirt day, and then Thursday is white day, and Friday is class shirt day again for the kids that are Thursday and Friday. Our AOVF convention ceremony is going to be tomorrow at 6, right in the Queen's Room. So if you're around, please feel free to stop by. At the middle school, we have Red Ribbon Week going on in St. Peter. They are starting to paint around survey. It's something that Katie had talked about earlier. also getting updates on where kids are. And as Melissa said, we're also looking at how we might be able to do that for teachers. Because you can see in Katie's face the dedication and she feels about the work that she does. And we have to remember that the teachers are here for our kids, but they also have their own families too, and they're going through a lot. And I really do think that they're doing their best that they can to provide the most that we can for our students. So it's important for us to do well for our staff too. We've got some things planned for them. Something a little bit nice for the staff. At AJ, there's a lot of great things going on at AJ. There's people making home visits to some of our totally remote students who might not be engaged. They're doing a lot of good work with Buffalo State, with Shively and Homestead, with not only with kids that need help, but also at the upper end too, for kids that are a little bit more advanced in math and science. At Highland, they're going to have their October 29th Fall Festival. It's going to be virtual. There'll be a live Facebook link that'll be on the website, so keep a lookout for that. We're going to meet those scavenger hunt for teachers for a while. Something fun to do while we're doing things for the kids. And JTY, we have our first ECLC virtual remote day over at ECLC. That's going to be coming up. And we've got 60 kids signed up to go to the ECLC to do different things there. So again, that was something that follows the things that we're doing with the mission. Dan is continuing reporting our COVID reporting on the dashboard. He taught me how to do it too, so we're trying to team, so I'm able to do it. We can do it together, making sure we have numbers. And we also are going to be looking at having the BOE students that we have in our CP class that we can bring added to that list too, and work in conjunction with those districts that the kids are coming from. To make sure that they fill out the student health questionnaire that is supposed to. If there's anything they need to report, we know how to report it to their building. Athletics, golf season is over. Tennis is ending this week. Soccer has 2 more weeks left. But the possible last event in November, we're not sure if there's going to be some type of a modified playoff system, but we're not sure if it's going to be that. Girls swimming is ending the first week in November. And Mike Bradley got back to a whole bunch of people work updating the last live feed that we had. So if you go to the athletic page on the website and scroll down to where the Twitter snapshots are, you can click on the link and you can watch what much better picture this time, much better sound. So we really got doing it. There's going to be a meeting later this month, in November, with the state in terms of what's going to happen with winter sports and whether or not those are going to happen. We're looking at basketball, wrestling, indoor track, boys swimming, modified swimming, and competitive cheer. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of whether or not we're going to be allowed to do that. So only time will tell. If we do, then we'll obviously let you know that you know and that everybody knows the best precautions to take the players go forward with those sports. Our universal pre-K program application was approved. So we do have available slots at pre-K in the program. So if you know anybody that a child at pre-K age that still wants to be able to get involved with our program, all we need to do is call and get registered and have them, at home right away. The Boys and Girls Club and the Y also have a virtual learning center set up. Where kids can go there. And while they're there during the day, during the school time, free of charge, because of that. So if the parent needs to stay a little bit before after, there's not charge for that, but I think it's a great service that they're both providing. And working with Jason over at the Boys and Girls Club, and they're really trying to do that and everyone else, so anybody that is looking for daycare or childcare where you can have access to technology. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and I think it's a lot of those. And that's it.
At this time, if we have any unscheduled visitors who would like to address the board, you may do so at this time. Please state your name and address. You have 5 minutes to address the board. Please be advised the board may not respond at this time, as it is not intended to be a question and answer period. This portion of the agenda is a courtesy to the community, so they have the opportunity to bring matters to the board's attention. The board recognizes that some individuals do not wish to attend the meeting in person. Therefore, we requested that members of the community submit any comments or questions in advance to an email address that we set up to receive public comment. We did not receive any emails for tonight's public comment. All right.
Listen, your brother, okay? Thank you for watching and thank you.
May I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular individual. No action will be taken during the executive session. Any discussion? All in favor?